when you're running after your shadow always is in front of you. You're never going to catch up to your shadow. It always extends out further, right? The more you run, the farther it gets away from you. Eventually you run out of energy. You get, you say, oh, I'm sick and tired. But if you look over your shoulder, you'll see that there's the light, the sun. And if you just slowly walk towards the sun, you have this feeling that somebody's following you. And so you just look over your shoulder, and who is it? It's your shadow chasing after you. So that's how it is, I think, in life. It's when you stop chasing after the nonsense is when it starts, the material things, it starts chasing after you.
Welcome back to the 4Media Uncut podcast, baby. We're about to bless your ears with some knowledge from Jake the Stock Guy. I could sit here and probably come up with a description, but I'm sure from the name, you probably get an idea what this man does.
Jake drove down from Nashville. We were so pumped to have him on the podcast. We talked about his story. He has a crazy story, like just coming up from living like a normal dude. He loves living in the woods. He's just like a basic guy, but he's somehow cracked the code to the matrix, and through his options trading, he's basically just making passive income, working like a couple hours a day.
He made a couple grand just driving here.
He's a beast. Like, he's literally just figured it out. He's mastered options trading, and actually he's one of our clients. We're working with Jake to help him build his community and just optimize his courses and everything. But I think you guys are going to get a ton out of this episode. So you're going to want to bust out your notepads on this one, because Jake is dropping some absolute bombs. I hope you guys enjoy the podcast.
What's your last name? Like your actual last name?
Ogletree.
Ogletree. I forgot. I just call him Jake the Stock, even on my phone.
His last name is Guy.
It's
Middle
just-
name is hyphenated.
No, I had this guy one time in New Jersey, Eddie, total New Jersey guy, big fat guy. He's so funny,
Bro,
too.
come on. What are you,
And,
you talking about me?
He was like, we were at this.
You go Eddie, New Jersey fat guy.
Fat guy wears V-necks.
different Eddie. And he was like, we were at this dinner table having wine, nice meal. These guys, they're all in the pharmaceutical industry, so they've got tons of money. I mean, one guy was being sued, and anyway, they had like he's like, you're Jake, you do stocks, and you're the guy. You're the guy. And I was like, Jake the Stock Guy. You know what? I'm gonna take that.
That's how you got the name?
Yeah.
From
Guy was like plastered, wasted, drunk, and he was like total New Jersey, New York, if you know anybody who's like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're the guy, you do stocks, and you're Jake. He's like, you're the guy, I was like,
Yeah.
Jake the Stock Guy.
Yeah, that guy, pal.
It just, and I was thinking a lot about, what am I going to call this thing? And it's grown a lot since then, and it's so much more than that, and so much more than me, and so dynamic. But in the beginning, it was just me, and I was like, oh, that'll be cool. I'll go with the personality brand,
So what is it that Jake the Stock Guy does, since we jumped right in?
Yeah, so I did you want to ask me about how I got started, or you just want to ask how Jake the Stock Guy is?
No, what do you do? What do you do?
What do you do now?
Yeah, so
Now we can go back.
I day trade weekly expiration options. I don't play the downside. I only play the upside. I play calls. For those of you who do know what options are,
For those that don't, what are they?
they're the underlying options or the underlying insurance contracts on the stock price. So
Explain it to me like I'm retarded.
So basically, to boil it down, like super simple. Back in the old days, if you were going to go long Apple and buy the shares, you would hedge the long shares by buying put contracts. So you go out, it's really complicated stuff, but you don't have to make it complicated. Options traditionally were used as a hedge against your bigger long position in shares. So like, Eddie, if you were buying oil, you were going long the shares, you would want to buy some put contracts
In case it dropped.
because you'd get paid on the put contracts. To off. So what it does is it balances out your risk, so that's
So correct me if I'm wrong. Here's another way to explain it.
Yeah.
In stocks, you can sell contracts, right? These contracts are 1,000 shares. Is it 100 or 1,000?
Yeah, one contract of options equals 100 shares.
100 shares.
Yeah, so it's actually leverage too. It's like it's insane leverage. I don't know who invented options, but it's like the greatest thing in the world.
It's crazy because the upside is insane.
Infinite.
So basically what it is you're placing a bet that a stock is going to hit a price up or down, right? Put or
Call.
Call is up, putter's down.
Yeah.
You're basically betting a bet that by a certain date, this contract expires, that this price will be above or below this number.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
And you have in options, you have the Greeks, which there's many of them. There's 4, but the important one is theta. Theta equals time decay. So this is kind of physicsy. But as time decays, as you get closer to the date of expiration on your contract,
spread is less.
Yeah, but if the calls go in the money, so let's say Apple's trading at 100, I buy 101 call expiring this Friday. Let's say today's Wednesday, and the stock price goes to 105. Those calls are now $4 in the money, and you could have bought those contracts for say $1 a piece or $100. They could be worth $10 per contract. You can't get the returns trading stocks like you can with options. Obviously, it's a lot more risky, guys. Not a financial advisor. Invest at your own risk. I'm just here for entertainment purposes and educational purposes. But you can lose your if you buy $1,000 of Apple contracts, you can lose that, and that's gone forever when the contracts expire. With shares, you can be down, you can be up, but 100 years from now, if the stock market's still around, you'll still have those Apple shares, so it's less risky. But you obviously can't get 900% in a week on the stock versus you can on the options. So things have really changed a lot in the industry. Obviously, I'm not a 50, 60-year-old guy who's been around multiple bear bull market cycles, but I think a lot of retail investors are figuring this out, and they're shifting to trading options because it's very difficult to make money trading shares,
Unless you have a ton of it.
Unless you have a ton of money.
So during COVID, I had like $2 million of stocks in my portfolio, and I was selling contracts instead of buying them.
Oh, selling puts. That's the oldest trick in the book, man. It's the safest one too, selling puts.
Dude, and it's crazy because like what people don't tell you is that if you have let's say $1 million in stocks,
they'll give
you can literally make 15 grand a month passive.
Yeah.
Just by selling ridiculous contract prices that are not going to hit.
Yeah.
Just for pennies, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? So
stuff
I would
that's
have
like in this many days, it's going to hit this price it would never hit.
Exactly. So I would have like, for example, I had 10,000 shares of Spirit Airlines, right? And every 3 weeks I would sell the contracts for a 3-week expiration on that.
Yeah.
And those shares would all add up to like 8.5, 10K of income for me if they didn't hit because people were buying them.
Yeah, and selling the premium.
Exactly. So I would buy the most ridiculous price, like not super ridiculous because then your margins get so low, but like enough where I'm like, this stock isn't going to double in the next 3 weeks. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I was making like 15K a month. I should get back to that actually.
Yeah. And it's great. Yeah. It's selling the premium is what you're doing. So the people who are buying the calls are buying the puts.
I basically became my own bank. Essentially, right?
Yeah.
I'm essentially loaning.
You're loaning the money. Yeah. But here's the downside to that for those of you who are listening. You really need to know what you're doing when you're selling puts or selling calls, because if they're too close to the spot price or where the spot is trading. So when you're selling a call, it's called a naked call or a naked put.
Naked or naked?
Naked.
Spell it.
Naked.
Spell it.
Necked.
Like necked?
Naked, as in I got no clothes on. I'm out.
Okay. Wait, no, naked is no clothes on.
Naked. I'm from the South, man. Naked, whatever. And
I've always heard that
I'm naked.
When you're naked, that's like you're like butt ass naked.
Yeah.
You ain't got nothing on.
And so you can technically, hypothetically, there's an infinite amount of loss you can accrue. But the maximum you can make is what your premium is. It's the reverse for the way I trade. So if I got $1,000 on the table at risk, the most I can lose is my $1,000, but I can hypothetically make an infinite amount of return money. Whereas when you're selling calls, selling puts, you can lose an infinite amount of money.
Not really.
Technically, well, obviously,
let me give you an example.
Your broker would pull you out before that would happen.
Am I selling? I'm selling not puts. I'm selling calls.
Yeah, you can do both.
Yeah, so calls is higher, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was selling because for me, worst case, the options hit, and I sell my stock for that price. You get what I'm saying? Let's say my stock's at $30. I'm selling a call at 35. My worst case scenario is it hits $35 and I'm selling 10,000 shares at $35. It's still a profit. You know what I'm saying? My best case scenario is it hits 34 and I just get paid out and I still have all my shares.
If you're long the shares, then you'll make money on the upside of the shares.
Exactly.
Even though you might be getting a little bit beat up on the selling.
I only did it on long positions.
Yeah, got you.
Like Delta, Spirit Airlines, Amazon, like ones that weren't going to move that hard, and I was good long term and I was in the profit already.
Yeah. What a lot of people do is actually they'll buy the stock and then they'll sell puts. You should look into that.
Because they're just expecting it not to hit because they're betting on the long, basically.
Yeah.
Cool. So how'd you get into all this?
So let's see. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was pretty young. I mean,
like how long ago?
This dates back all the way to high school. Okay. I was 16, 17.
And what are you?
How old are you now?
I'm 32. I'll be 33 this year in December. Fun fact, I share
December what?
8th. I share a birthday with Jim Morrison from The Doors.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Fun fact.
You're 1 week away from my wife's birthday.
Oh,
same
really?
age, same everything. Wow.
And so I stopped going to class. I had made up in my mind that I was going to be a professional skateboarder. This is in Orlando, Florida. I was super inspired by guys like, not Tony Hawk, but Andrew Reynolds. He's a big one from the Baker Foundation. Who else was I? Anyway, a couple of pro skaters. So I was on that track. I think I have a promo video out there somewhere I submitted to DC, a couple shoe companies. But I was young and I had a little bit of, I was hanging out with the wrong people. My dad was like, you're going to really mess up your life. Can I say it? You're really going to fuck up your life.
You can fuck it up.
And, and so he shipped me away to my mother, who was living in the woods of Tennessee. So where I would be away from a lot of my friends. And so Orlando in the 2000s, mid 2000s, there was a big problem with like pills, and like all my friends in high school were like on Xanax and opiates. So I was kind of like, close to that, and it was dangerous. So my dad did the right thing, and my skateboarding professionalism dreams kind of deteriorated because I was, my mom's in the woods in Tennessee. I wasn't, in LA. I wasn't in Florida where there was the scene. And I just kind of like thought, okay, what's next? And like college was never an option for me. I tried to go to college, but I like literally one semester.
What do you mean tried? One semester? That's
yeah,
it?
one semester. I went to college one semester.
For
and I was
what?
like, this is stupid.
For what?
I thought I wanted to be a physics guy. I was really inspired by Michio Kaku. He's a Japanese head professor of the University of New York at Stony Brook. And he's a great guy. He's got a lot of energy. He's really cool.
How did you even find that guy?
Yeah, right.
I've always been interested in like metaphysics, space, astronomy, cosmology.
So you just like watch his videos or something, or like how'd you stumble upon him?
Yeah, it kind of happened like these two things happened at once. Like I got really into, math and science, and I got really into meditation and yoga. When I was at my mom's, there was nothing to do.
You said in Tennessee?
Yeah, I was like in the middle of nowhere in the woods in Tennessee for like 2 years. And I was just like super introspective, walking in the woods alone. And I got into yoga, I got into meditation, and then I got into metaphysics. And I was really just fascinated by the
Sounds like you got into some drugs too.
No drugs.
Okay. It was like a
that actually comes later.
You traded the skateboard for a yoga mat.
Yeah. And the next thing I wanted to do was I wanted to be a musician. So I was playing my guitar, and I was playing the piano and the saxophone.
This is still college.
Age. So I was dabbling in a lot. I was like in school to be a physicist and dropped out. I had left the skateboarding dream. I was kind of at the time mostly interested in music. So putting together a band and performing live. Right around the same time, I got hooked up with this guy who ended up becoming a mentor. He owned a yoga studio. His name was Cal Clements. It was in Athens, Georgia, University of
Georgia.
Bulldogs. Yeah, Bulldogs. I lived there for 2 years.
What? You lived in Athens like the same time I did.
You did?
Yeah.
What years?
This is 2010, 9, 10, 11
Yeah, I was
area.
there from 11 to 15.
Yeah, we were there at the same time.
Crazy.
How crazy. And I got hooked up with him. He became kind of like I was his protege, and he was a cool guy. He was like really into the arts, particularly like old school theater from like Italy, France, particularly in like comedy and clowning. And he also owned a yoga studio, and it was crazy times, man. It was great.
It seems like in this point in your life, you're kind of confused career-wise.
Well, no, I was just having fun.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wasn't really even interested in money. Like money never was a thing for. It was never an object for me. You know, I was just like exploring life.
You're just a free spirit, just exploring.
Free spirit, exploring life like a sponge, just soaking up things. And I became really interested in like veganism and yoga, and I dropped the music thing, and I ended up at a spiritual retreat center, actually the world's largest for yoga and meditation in upstate New York, called the Omega Institute for Holistic Studies. So all the biggest names, and I've seen them all. I've been in this auditorium with the Dalai Lama, Deepak Chopra, Thich Nhat Hanh. You know, if you're in the spiritual community, you would have heard these names, Oprah or whatever. She came and gave a thing. So shamanism, it was great times, even better time. It was like, I mean, 1969, free love, spiritual thing, kind of awakening, talking to the trees. So you guys, I have to be completely frank with you. I have a very, very unconventional life, very eccentric, artistic, eccentric, not your cookie cutter standard life.
Go ahead.
Didn't you end up in Venice too for a bit? You said you lived in Venice Beach for a little while.
Yeah, I was living in my van. So we're fast forwarding a little bit here.
Okay, my bad.
But I don't know around.
Look, let me tell you something.
Oh, yeah.
Your life isn't conventional, but there's something that's important that stands out.
I'm thinking of like the thread. What's the thread here? It's just like reaching. It's reaching for the higher ideal, the higher experience.
Agreed. And at the same time, this is an important note for me as like someone who now has a career in options. You didn't spend like 10 years figuring out how to make money.
No.
You know what I mean? It wasn't even like on your radar.
I spent like
which is kind of cool because a lot of people will spend 10 years and then like you see the success 10 years later and you're like, oh, well, it makes sense. He's been learning this thing for 10 years. Of course he's going to find a way to make it work for him. Whereas at this point, you don't even have a care in the world for money. Frankly.
No, it's funny actually, like now being asked that, and I don't think about it or talk about it often. So when I have to revisit it, it's like, wow, yeah, I was a very different person then,
So when did you shift from like, I don't care about money, I like trees, to I like trees because they make money?
That's good. Let's see. It would have been 2016, 17.
Were you like with your wife at the time?
No, still bachelor, single. I was bouncing around a lot. I was, any kind of, by the way, guys, those of you, listening, watching, like, I just want to say this because before I forget, you can do anything, you can be anyone, and you can go anywhere you want in life. I just want you to know that. I traveled around a lot. I did a lot of odd jobs. I was a gardener in Colorado. I was a waiter for 2 restaurants in Palm Beach Island. But through my journey, you're always learning. And then I kept seeing people making money online. I was like, oh man, that's the way to go. Because I love to travel. And I was like, oh, who wants a brick and mortar business? You make all your money online. And it was a lot harder than I thought. I tried to initially get into e-commerce, drop shipping, Amazon FBA, because that was the hype thing to do back then. And the hype thing to do was also crypto. And I was by no means did I have an easy ride either. Like I had checked into a homeless shelter in Atlanta once. A friend of mine though bailed me out and gave me $20,000 of Bitcoin in 2017. And then yeah. And then
he just gave you 20 grand?
Yeah, he wired it to me. I opened up a crypto account, and he wired me the 20,000
in Bitcoin.
In Bitcoin, yeah. And I sold some of it, and I went to Mexico. But that's another day, another story.
I feel like that's part of the story. Yeah. So you were homeless at one point.
Yeah, living in my car, living in my van in Santa Monica, Venice.
What year?
All over the place. Multiple times I've lived in my car or in the woods. I've got videos and pictures of me living in the woods in a tent in 2015 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I've got video photos of me living in my van in 2019 even. So I had a
fucking crazy. Even if you're homeless and shit, you still have a phone.
Yeah.
Were you pretty plugged into like the internet and social media and stuff, or were you pretty much like off grid, like I'm doing my own thing, like in the woods or whatever?
Yeah. It's hard to like track with any accuracy all my movements because I did move around a lot all the time over the years. Like there'd be people would call me and like, hey man, how's California? You're like, bro, I'm in Mexico. I haven't been in California in like 2 years. Like I moved around a lot, so it's a little difficult to keep track of every. But when I was in Mexico, I was at a hotel. I met a guy from L.A. He was friends with the fashion designer Philip Plein.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's friends with him. He's like, he was German guy. He's like, yeah. He's a Philip. He's a baller. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, you do crypto, huh? He's like, can you set up my account? He's like, I need
This
to.
is really good, actually.
I do a really good German accent.
Yeah. You spent some time with Bashir, it sounds like.
That's funny. And so he's like, oh, you should talk to my friend Stefan in LA. He's an options trader. He's a psychopath. And I'm like, cool. I like people like that. And he's if anybody's ever seen the movie American Psycho starring Christian Bale, it's like that's Stefan Clout. Great guy. I watched him trade options for about a year or two on the SPY. That a lot of people love to trade options on SPY because there's a lot of volatility every day. It's great for scalping, and it's quick cash.
And the SPY is just like an aggregate of all the S&P 500, right?
Yep. It's an ETF. There's multiple ETFs. That's the S&P.
And it's volatile?
On a small scale, yeah.
Okay.
If you look
On
at
a
it
penny scale, you're talking. Because the number is so big.
Right.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. So, and then I helped Jasper set up his crypto thing, and he introduced me to Stefan, and Stefan introduced me to options, and Stefan had been already at it for like 5-8 years, and so I was really fortunate to meet him. Was he doing at the time I did? Was
he doing pretty well for himself? Like he was living pretty good?
Yeah, but he's a crazy guy. He would take like 100 milligrams of Adderall, and he would be
100 milligrams.
Yeah, he would take 100 milligrams of Adderall.
Isn't the normal dose like 20?
I don't know. I never taken it, but
I think it's like 20.
That's a lot.
He would be up 80 grand in a day, and then he'd be like, and I'd talk to him, and he would just be like, no emotions, like scary, like no, like a robot, no emotions, like I feel nothings, and then I love this shit. But then the next day he had a lot of volatility, so he'd be up 100,000 in a day, and the next day down 100,000, So I was a little.
You become numb to it for sure.
You have to.
Yeah, I was scared to get into it, because it didn't seem like consistent, stable, and I was trying to build, I was still doing this waiting tables thing, and nothing was working. Not the e-commerce, not the Amazon FBA, not the drop shipping thing,
and so you were like what, late 20s at this point, like mid-late 20s?
Yeah, my entrepreneurial career started, I was mostly hippie, spiritual guy up until 27. And so 8, 9, 31, 2, 5 years I've been at it.
Wow.
And I started trading with following Stefan.
What do you mean following Stefan?
So I would follow him on a trade. I'd be like, so what are we buying today? And he'd be like, he would just.
Like you'd go to his house, or like what would you guys be doing?
No, just text him.
Oh, okay, nice.
And I would trade on my phone. And
how important was it when you started trading?
So the first trade I ever did was a SPY trade. I turned 400 into $400, so $800 in total. But I turned $400 and $400 profit in like 5 minutes, and that was it,
Why? Why'd you do it? Because you followed his.
Yeah, because I followed him. I just followed him, and I didn't know what I was doing. And he's like, I'm buying the 420 calls expiring today, and I'd be like, okay, I know how to do that. I watched a YouTube video on it, and then I bought $400 worth, and within 5 minutes I was up, $800, so $400 profit, 100% return on my 400, and that was more than I had ever made.
In 5 minutes.
In 5 minutes.
In a day, probably.
It was more than I ever made.
In a day.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was.
If you were waiting tables,
super important question. As someone looking back when you just got started,
yeah,
how important was it to follow someone else's trades, especially at the beginning?
Super critical.
Would you have made the progress you did without having someone to follow?
No.
Like just shooting the shit on your own?
Yeah, no. It would have, it probably would have taken twice as long, and I might not have even really stuck with it if I hadn't had that first, like, you know, bit of success by riding the coattails of Stefan. You know, he's already been at this 8 years, 5-8 years. So I'm like riding on his coattails, and I like he knows what he's doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just following him. So I have that first, you know, initial success, and I'm like, man, this is awesome. Like, I'm hooked. You know, this is great. I'm gonna just do this and like work from, you know, my computer, my phone, and I'm gonna travel like I've always wanted to, and I'm gonna like go to Asia and you know, Europe and all this stuff. And I didn't really have a big dreams. Like, I didn't want to be like, I didn't want to own a yacht or like a helicopter. Like, I just wanted to be, my time was the most important thing to me. This is before my wife and now child, but my time, you know, you can't put a price tag on it, you know, and you can't get it back. Money you can make, you can lose, you can make, you can lose, you can make. Time can't get back.
You can only lose.
You can only lose, yeah.
And at the base level,
it's the only non-renewable source of, you know, it's the most important thing, and people don't talk about that enough. And but I think if you look around at other people in America and other successful people, they're getting the wrong. They have the wrong data. They have the wrong targets that they're setting for themselves, because
their targets have 4 wheels usually and a steering wheel.
Yeah, or like, you know, the Rolls Royce or the Bentley, or like the you know, the Audemars Piguet, or like the Richard Mille watch, you know, and it's like you end up just becoming a slave to the money, and it's never enough. And you know, it's not just about $1 million. It's not just about one big, you know, score in the market. It's not about one, you know, real estate deal. It's like you got to have 100. You can never be satisfied. I mean, you know, so it's important that you get your heart right and your head right, and you know what's important to you, man. You know, because when you're on, you know, yeah, because on your deathbed you're gonna be like, oh, I'm so glad that I bought that watch. That was expensive.
Yeah.
So I wanted my time. I wanted my freedom. I wanted my time, and like, you know, mobility and freedom, time. That was so important. And
I'm sure that your spiritual kind of journey for the last 27 years or whatever up to that point was super helpful for that to kind of like ground you. And
bro, he
help
still
you figure
takes
out.
walks in the woods.
Yeah, of
every
course.
time we're on the call, he's just walking through the woods.
yeah. You could, yeah. No, you could take the yogi, or what is it? You could take the something out of the something, but you can't take the. I forget how that saying goes.
We get you. You're a hippie inside. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
You can take a man out of the woods, but you can't take the woods out of the man.
Yeah, I like that.
Something like that.
I've gotten better over the years with it as far as work-life balance. You know, I think a lot of people are gonna, oh man, so we got to get into like my life now. How it's so cush, it's so dope.
Walk us through.
Yeah, what's a day in the life of Jake the Stock Guy?
So I wake up, usually
On your yacht.
no,
With your Richard Mille.
You know, here's actually something really interesting. It's when you know, and this is a spiritual analogy. It's like when you're running after your shadow always is in front of you, and it always gets, you're never going to catch up to your shadow. It always extends out further, right? The more you run, the farther it gets away from you. But if you just, eventually you run out of energy, you get, you know, you say, oh, I'm sick and tired, you know, and then, but if you look over your shoulder, you'll see that there's the light, the sun. And if you just slowly walk towards the sun, the light, you have this feeling that somebody's following you, you know? And so you just look over your shoulder, and who is it? It's your shadow chasing after you. So that's how it is, I think, in life. You know, it's when you stop chasing after the nonsense is when it starts, you know, the material things, it starts chasing after you. And
What do you mean by it starts chasing after you?
everything, just money, name, fame, it all just comes to you, you know, when you stop looking for it. You know, it's paradox. And now my life is just really about simplicity at its fundamental core. I really like helping people. It's very rewarding. It feels great. I love teaching people, helping people, you know, because I know the struggles. I had them myself. I mean, we didn't talk about all the losses and all the pain and suffering I had to go through to get to where I'm at today with trading. It wasn't like, oh, I flipped a switch and I just flipped the switch. And I started printing money like an ATM machine. No, that took another, I don't know, 3 years.
So up until like 2 years ago.
Yeah, is when I started finding some consistency in my formula and strategy. And, you know, a lot of it's just discipline. And you kind of just have to make the mistakes in life, and you have to make them repeatedly until you learn the lesson.
But you could avoid them by following other people who
Yeah.
already made the mistakes.
Yeah, to a degree. You know, it definitely will speed up the process. You know, I think if you can shorten the time between, you know, where you want to be and where you are by leveraging other people. They do that in like influencer marketing. You know, J-Lo, you leverage her entire career in one deal, you know, 20, 30, 40 years of, you know. So I would say, yeah. But you're still going to make the mistakes. Make no mistake about that. You're still going to make the mistakes probably 100 times, you know, like, dang it, I did it again, you know. But then, you know, you just do it enough times and you start to like, oh, wait a minute, like this is where I made that mistake. You know, you become more and more conscious of it. You're like, let me not make it. And then you don't make it that time. And then if you can do that, you know, repeat that a couple times, it starts to become a habit. You know, Aristotle talked about everything in life is just, you know, even excellence is just a habit. We are just these habit-forming organisms, you know. Whatever you do repeatedly, you become. You know, whatever you think about repeatedly, you become. So eventually if you do everything right and you can do it right daily, it just becomes a habit. And I've kind of gotten to that place now. You know, I paid my dues. And but I really, back to what I was saying, I really love helping people. I really love teaching people. It's really rewarding. Like making money is great, don't get me wrong. But when you see other people with a shining face, smiling, you know, full of so much gratitude, joy, happiness for, you know, the work I've done to help them get where they are, it's, you know, people write me all the time like, hey, Jake, I just paid for the whole year's daycare bill for my kids, you know, thanks to that, you know, whatever Tesla call, or today was Cisco. And I can't look at Cisco. I think it's crazy up, but you know, we had to do this. So I was like, let me get out of this position. I'm not gonna
But
look.
it's cool when you can put like, cause you know,
Do you have your phone on you?
Yeah.
Pull it up.
when you have the number in your head of like, oh, I made this much money, but it's way cooler when you can put some meaning behind it, you know, like, wow, with that one trade, I was able to blank, and it's not buy a nice watch or do this thing or whatever. It's like I was able to provide for my family. I was able to spend more time with my wife. I was able to, you know, like actual life-changing type stuff. And that's the type of stuff you're saying, you know, when you don't have the only resource that we really have is time. And if you're constantly just trading your time for money, you know, if you can figure out a way to leverage that and collapse time and make, you know, make some more money,
so
you can have more time.
Yeah, so I got this trade pulled up here today. I bought Cisco calls. I bought them at 9:42:05 a.m. I sold those at 9:45.
That's it? 3 minutes?
Yeah, 3 minutes. And
you wanted to hold longer, but you had this.
Yeah, which is 50% return on my premium. So, you know, like.
So if you held
bad.
longer, what would have happened?
I would have been
That's
up.
what you made today?
Yeah, in 3 minutes.
Show the camera.
I don't know if you can see this.
$1,700 bucks.
$1,700 in 3 minutes.
Yeah. I would have been up 4,000, but we had to do this, so I had to close it up. And that would have taken probably another 10 minutes. I don't know, but
yeah,
you know, yeah, and like that's really, you know, oh my God, you know, if you could just do that consistently, like that's.
Dude, if you could do that 3 times a month, honestly,
yeah,
like
6,000.
4 times a month, it's $100K a year.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm so used. Most of my life, you know, didn't even make over 60,000, let alone 30,000. So to do 100, 150,000, 200, 250,000 a year, for me, I'm happy.
Here's the thing: you're doing it with such little time. You know what I mean?
See, that's the thing. Like, I wouldn't want to make more if it took more of my time.
That's the thing.
Because,
like, you could make millions.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like, I'm checked out by 11, is what it seems like.
Yeah. And I don't want to, I'm not the Wolf of Wall Street guy. You know, I'm not the, you know, I'm not scam guy. I'm not a pump and dump guy. I'm just a simple guy that likes to trade options, and I like to limit the amount of time that I'm in the markets, to make the money that I make, and then go about my day. Like, we'll put it this way: who makes 1,700 in 3 minutes in America? Doctors, lawyers?
No, they don't.
Maybe if you're like a CEO of like a company, but that's
still
like,
3
Even
minutes.
in 3 minutes.
That's $500 a minute. That's $30,000 an hour. I don't think anyone makes that. Unless you like
and to be
own
fair,
Unless you
and to be,
own-
Amazon.
yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it's not. Yes, of course.
and
it
even
was in
that
this-
number, but that people who do that. Sorry to cut you off.
You're good.
But the people who do make that much money, Eddie, it's such a small percentage. But like, I can take anybody off the street and show them the way to do this.
You know how much money that is a month?
I don't know.
If you actually, if you made that consistently, $21,960,000 every month. Like, no one makes that.
No.
You know what I mean? We're talking like $300 million a year.
but what I was gonna say is, it's not like you could actually just, if you're like, oh, if I worked more than 3 minutes, if I worked the whole day exactly like that, you're. It's more than the 3 minutes that you're working. You're setting up the trade beforehand. You're analyzing. You're
So
doing
how much are
things,
you
whatever.
actually working a week? Like, your computer is open.
Yeah.
you're
Trading.
working.
So the actual trade took 3 minutes. It took me, from 9:30 when the market opened, I waited. Was it 9:42 was the entry point? So I waited. I had to wait for the entry. Oh my God,
How
such a
boring.
hard life. Boy.
Wait, how did you trade? Were you in your car?
Yeah, driving.
You just trading on your.
I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that at all. It's much better to trade on the laptop because you can see your order book and the charts. But yeah. So and then it took me it didn't even take me like that long to find the winning trade this morning. I saw Cisco had like smashed earnings. I made money on Cisco before many times.
You just buy on the open, essentially.
No, I wait for a pullback to support trend line support. It's everything. Stock market is just a macro of the micro. Like if you look at a hurricane, excuse me, weather pattern, and you look at the Milky Way galaxy, it's the same. It's the same fractals. It's the same mathematical, proof. It's the same formula. So the stock market is kind of like an extension of nature or a micro version of it. And
Do you follow like Fibonacci and all?
No.
All those,
There's so many indicators
Yeah.
out there. No, I just go off of like I just draw lines. Support. This is historically where buyers like to step in. This is where historically sellers will step in, and these are the trend lines usually at a 90-degree angle or 45-degree angle.
And it kind of follows nature because ultimately at the core of the stock market, it's human emotion.
Yeah, and human emotion, that has its anomalies, but it also is pretty predictable. Really the two
In the macro.
Yeah, the two biggest things in play in human trading is fear and greed. It's always a battle of fear and greed. So if you're afraid, you either sell or you sell early, and if it's greed, you hold, or you hold too long,
Or you buy too much.
or you buy too much. Yeah, that's true.
And I think that kind of goes back to what you were saying with like, these guys that we imagine, when you say the yacht and the watches and all this stuff, we can kind of like imagine this like
Grant
archetype of a
Cardone,
guy.
whatever,
Yeah.
Tony Robbins, whatever.
Private jet. You can imagine like an archetype of this guy, but I feel like everyone's kind of plagued by more.
Everybody's
at that level.
yeah, it's a shame, right? Because everybody's chasing that and they're giving up all their time. They have no time. And it's like that time to me is worth all the fucking money in the world, to have my time. So I could make all this money, but I'd be giving up all my time. And I like, honestly, I'm maybe just a different kind of guy, but like it's just so important. It's so valuable to me. Peace of mind, peace. I want to go out and like, you guys have seen me on our calls. Like I'll be out on the woods hiking and like meditating or reading a book or, having I don't know, maybe I'm just old school like that, but
I mean, you've built a lifestyle around the things that you want at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like I personally don't want to have a lot of free time in this current point in my life. Just an example, right? Like when I'm 35, 7 years from now, it might be a different scenario. But for now, I feel like I would have a regret looking back at 35 and being like, damn, I could have like built so much in the last 7 years and had the next 10 easier.
Yeah.
Just an example. You know what I mean? So each person has their own.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've got my early retirement plan working out. I'm building these algorithms. There's a total of 6 algorithmic strategies, and it'll be cool because it'll be like, anyway, I won't get into that. But
Why not? Let's get into it.
You want to get into it?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm pretty excited about this, but it's all machine learning, AI. I have a small team. There's a programmer, coder, developer, Indian guy, and a PhD of mathematics with strength in machine learning, which is computers teaching themselves, and then AI, but it's not true AI. It's a total of 6 strategies, and so you take your portfolio, and it's going to be dynamic allocation of the portfolio on rebalances itself on a daily, weekly, monthly. So basically a complicated way of saying whichever strategy is doing the best, we're going to allocate more of the portfolio to it. And currently through a lot of simulators, a lot of back testing, we're getting around 70 to 150% a year return. And so at compound interest, that's, 1,200% over 10 years.
Wow.
So,
And a lot of that stuff kind of exists already. And so if you're going out there and trying to trade options as a lone guy without any prior experience, you're competing against that type of shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of like super high level, there's people out there spending $100 million a year just on computing power, and they want their servers to be as close as they can to the terminals at Bloomberg and on Wall Street. There's levels to this. I mean, somebody out there today probably made $1 billion in profit on Cisco.
A lot of people probably did.
Yeah. Some fund or one individual guy. I met a guy once in New York who had $100 million in his trading account.
I just saw a 20-year-old kid. Did you hear about this?
Mm-mm.
Bed Bath & Beyond stock dipped to like sub $5. This 20-year-old kid, first of all, I don't know where he got this kind of money at 20 years old, but like I was reading the article and they kind of like ignored that this kid had $20 million at 20. Anyways, he put $20 million into Bed Bath & Beyond stock. In a week, the stock went from sub 4 to
27.
Yeah, $27.
Oh.
And he cashed out $120 mil in a week. What? First of all, where the fuck did he get 20?
I would retire.
Where the fuck did he get 20 million from? They just grazed over it. Like the cool part was he made 120. I'm like, he's fucking 20. Where did he buy fucking 4 million shares of this shit from? You know what I mean? Anyways,
wild.
Crazy. Like shit like that.
Maybe his dad, or I don't know.
But if a 20-year-old is making 100 million spread in a week, I'm sure a fund or someone who has a fuck ton of money. What's the guy's name who called the .com bubble? Michael Berry.
Yeah, Michael Berry.
He just liquidated all his stock positions last week or this week on Monday.
Yeah,
like everything, like tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars.
He just wants to be in cash right now.
Damn. Yeah.
See, that's such a headache for me. Like, it's such a headache.
It's not the life you want at the end of the day.
No. It's not the life I want. And if you want that life, you should deserve every right to have that.
Okay, life. I have a question for you though.
Yeah.
Let me challenge that. Can't you, with the same exact trades, let's talk percentages here, just play a bigger game and make double the money at the same time?
Sure. Yeah, it's all about risk. If you have $100 million in your trading account and you take $1 million position, that's 1% your portfolio.
Yeah.
If you have a let's say you have $1 million trading account and you take $1 million position, that's 100%. You're all in.
No, I get you. But if you know that, hey, over the last 2 years, I'm winning 65% of trades, example, and that's netting me X amount of money, why don't I just double down on it?
I've just never done it.
Yeah.
I haven't doubled down. I don't know. It's like, yeah, right, because the math is there. It works. It's like blackjack.
Like this trade right now. It could have been a $5,000 trade for you.
Blackjack. Yeah. I instead of $4,000, right, I could have bought $40,000 and it would have been a $20,000 profit.
Yeah.
It's a numbers game. It's a scale game. Yeah, I mean, I just never doubled down. In blackjack, you can do that, right? 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, because every hand is a double. It's and
the compound effect.
But so here's the difference, right? Let's say you start with $1,000 on Monday, and let's just hypothetically say you get 100% return your premium, which is very easily done, doable. I do it all the time in options trading. on weekly expiration calls. So 1 becomes 2 from Monday to Tuesday. 2 becomes 4 Tuesday. So on Wednesday, you go in 4.
8.
Yeah, 8. And then on Friday is 16 into 32. So $1,000 into $32,000 in a week. Or if you just bought $1,000 every day for 100%, you'd be up 5,000.
Yeah.
So it's a big difference.
Which is still good.
It's still good. I've never really got into the double down thing.
But not even doubling down, just like taking a bigger position. Especially on trades you're confident in. Like you're like, I knew Cisco was gonna bang today no matter what.
Yeah. Well, you actually don't. At the end of the day,
I know you really don't. But like, I mean, I bet let's just say your portfolio is a 70% win rate, just an example.
Yeah.
I bet that you could look back and be like, I was really confident. On the days I was really confident, I won 85%. Yeah. Just an example. And if you just took bigger bets on your most confident days, wouldn't it net you an extra $100,000 a year? Just an example.
Yeah, it would. I haven't gotten into that yet, but that's a good thing. I have to look into that. Thanks, Eddie.
He's like, yeah, I made $1 million this year with the same amount of time.
Yeah. I just compound interest, double down on what works. Yeah, I mean, hypothetically speaking, if I really wanted to, and I might even do this challenge just for laughs, and I could take 2,000, and in 2 weeks I could turn it into 2 million.
Wait, what?
We should do it.
You what? What would you say? No, I would say that again. I don't.
No, I haven't done this yet, but now that we're talking about it, you kind of got me thinking about the idea of doubling down your profits from the previous day.
Yeah.
So in 2 weeks,
just rolling them over every time.
Yeah, in 2 weeks, I'm pretty confident I could.
In 2 weeks,
yeah, 2,000 into 2 million
to 2 million.
Yes.
1,000 return.
Yeah. 1,000% return.
No, 1,000 times.
Oh, 1,000 times. So that's
100,000%.
Yeah.
Jake, are you telling me the right numbers?
I've taken 1,000 into 10,000 in a week.
Yeah, but 2 million.
But that was without him doubling down.
That was without me
profits.
doubling down.
He was pocketing the profits.
This is interesting. I need you to tell me how this goes.
All right.
We need to make this a YouTube video.
Yeah, I'll document it and record it. And I'll start next week. Yeah,
whatever,
no,
you miss and you hit 100,000, let's say, that's fucking insane.
With 2K?
Yeah. Like that's stupid.
All right, so Monday next week I'll start 2K and I'll double down all the profits into the next trade, and let's see how long it takes me to make 2 million.
Can you imagine? He just like retires in 2 weeks.
I would pay my taxes and put 60% of it in that portfolio for the algorithms to manage for me, and then just get paid passively 70% to 150% a year,
which is stupid,
and do absolutely nothing. Absolutely fuck all.
So question.
Yeah, sorry.
You go ahead.
I was going to say, do you ever feel like when I guess before I really started starting to try to understand like trading and things like that, did you ever feel like you're like, what value is this bringing society? I know you're like super into spiritual stuff and all this stuff. Like you're like, all I'm doing is just like punching in numbers and pushing around money and all this stuff. It's like, is this really fulfilling or whatever? You know, like how do you kind of feel about that?
Yeah, you know, it's a skill. It's like playing the piano. It takes a while to get it, but when you're good at it, people enjoy hearing it. They'll pay you to play. Yeah, you know, you're just kind of a mercenary. You know, there's a missionary and a mercenary. You know, guns for hire, go kill these people, and then a missionary would be like Mother Teresa. You're going to build homes in Africa. You know. Yeah, it's an interesting gig, right? You're alone. There's nobody to talk to. It's just you and the charts, and it's all, you know, bing, 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 boom, bing, 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 you know, like high frequency, and it's fun. It's a rush. It's kind of a game, and but when I incorporated teaching people how to do this, and I started my private community, Jake the Stock Guy, is when I started to see fulfillment. I wasn't being no, trading gives you zero fulfillment. It gives you cash, cold hard cash.
But to some people, that's fulfillment. Like
yeah.
Like that is an achievement. Because think about it. You, in starting your group and having, 1,200, 1,300 members now?
Yeah, we're getting up there.
So 1,300 members in your group right now. I mean, you get fulfillment from them saying they did well, but they get fulfillment from them saying I did well.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So cash is fulfillment for some people.
Yeah, that's
to
true.
you. It's not to you. It's other people making cash.
But I think it's also what cash can do for those people. I think that's the true meaning behind it,
100%, man. And seeing, one guy wrote me earlier when I was telling you about the daycare thing. One guy paid off his remaining balance on a truck that he owned. It's just little things like that, man.
I mean, how much are you charging for this group? Like $1,000 a month, $500 a month? What? More?
$99.
$99 a month to get what? What are they getting exactly?
Daily alerts. They get to see my watch list in the morning, which is pretty important. I always chime in and give my thoughts and opinions on the market and on what my watch list is. And then I also have my actual brokerage trades, buy and sells. Because E-Trade will send me. I use E-Trade by Morgan Stanley. I get email notifications on my buy and sells.
And that forwards to them, basically.
Forwards to a channel on our Slack. So a little bit of a delay, but people can see.
Your trade on Cisco today, everyone saw it live?
Yeah, everybody. It's super. I'm transparent as it gets, man. People literally are seeing what my brokerage account statements are by buy and sells. Like there's nothing, I can't hide anything. It's not, so.
Unless you're using another account, but you're using that main account.
Yeah, it's main account. I don't care. If they want to audit me, they can audit me.
Okay, so is it possible, how possible is it, or how difficult or easy is it for someone with minor trading experience, like they know how to buy and sell, example, to get into this group and actually make money and follow? Because you said, okay, I'm making $250,000 a year just doing this for fun, a couple hours a day.
Yeah, the technical, an hour a day, 2 hours a day, I would say is like the range. But the technical side of trading is easy to get down. You could spend a weekend on it, watch YouTube videos. I have a course, but I don't even have to take that. And it catches people up to speed. The psychology and the discipline side of trading is what takes a little longer. And that's why it's good to have somebody who, that's my guy, that's my mentor. Like that's who, everybody in life has a mentor. I've had multiple mentors. And now I'm a mentor for others. And you're not supposed to use the mentor forever. You're supposed to use him for however long it takes, and then you go on and you do it for others.
Or you find another mentor too at that point, right? That takes you to the next step.
Yeah, if I can only take you so far, maybe somebody can take you farther, or maybe I can take you as far as you want to go, and then somebody's going to come to you and ask for help, and you're going to be their mentor. So. Yeah, it's great. Did I answer the question? I don't know. What was the question exactly?
Like, how possible is it for someone to join this group and actually,
man. Yeah, I mean, you spend a weekend, watch them. I got a bunch of free content on YouTube, educational videos. Spend a weekend on my channel, and you'll be ready to go on Monday. But you still won't have the psychological and the discipline side of things down. You might get a little excited, You're like, oh. What's happening?
That's funny. So like in the retrospect of like a ton of careers here, like why do you think options trading is so good compared to
versus other types, like even like crypto or something like that?
I think, everybody's got their 2 cents. I've got mine. I think crypto is kind of how can I say this? I think it's a scam, man. I mean, I never met anybody who made money in crypto. Maybe you guys have, but I'm not.
You're gonna get some heat from this side of the table on this one. We'll leave it. That's like a whole nother podcast of.
I like trading on the New York Stock Exchange, stocks that they go through a rigorous process.
They're called securities.
They're securities. There's the NASDAQ. You got to jump through so many hoops to get your company listed on the NASDAQ. It's very, very regulated. I focus on trading options on only large cap stocks. So stocks that we've all heard of, we use them: Lululemon, Nike, Coke, Apple, Facebook, Google. To me, it's a symbol of trust. Whereas like Bitcoin, crypto, it's great, but look what happened to Luna.
Take away crypto.
That can't happen to
take away crypto. Take away crypto. Just careers in general. Like, why is option trading something that people should really pursue? It sounds like, example, we're in a recession, right? It might get worse. Whatever it is. Is that a good or bad time to be option trading?
Oh my God, it's a great time to be trading options. Well, because even if you have a career that you're focused on, and you're enjoying your career, you can pick up an extra $1,000 a day on the side. If you, depending on your portfolio size, but an extra $1,000 a day, I'm sure it will help you and your family. And it's just for some, you can make it a full-time thing. This is your career. Others, they want to keep it as a side hustle, just to, always have that quick cash flow coming in daily, following Jake, And I'm telling you, everywhere I go, people convert. I remember in the very beginning, my dad was like, this is stupid. You're a gambler. This is a casino. And today, hey son, what broker account do I need to open? How do I do what you do?
Yeah.
So
because I'll send them screenshots and it'd be like, you just made what I make in a whole week working. So
what's the benefits of options trading versus other careers? Like, let's walk through them. Like, you can work remote.
Oh, the benefits. Yeah, you can work from anywhere in the world with a Wi-Fi connection, and it might be a little hard if you're in Hawaii. I've done this. You have to get up at 2:30 in the morning and be ready at 3:30. So
because it's the market, right? What time?
Yeah,
the market
9:30 a.m. on the East Coast, New York time.
Wait, what time zone is Hawaii on? They're behind Pacific.
Yeah,
by 2 hours.
By 3.
3.
Yeah. So
they're like on Australia
5, 4,
time
3.
almost.
Yeah, it's terrible. Europe is South America, Europe, parts of Asia. It's a little rough, but yeah, you want to kind of not.
Like, I was just in Lebanon. That's 7 hours ahead. I mean, 4:30 in the afternoon.
That's
a
doable.
great time.
Yeah, it's a great time. It's like a midday break.
Yeah, it's like pre-dinner. Like,
yeah,
and pretty much most of your stuff happens right when the market opens or close
the
to
first
it.
hour.
First hour, and
Why is
60
that?
minutes. Well, that's where you get all the volatility. It's like first 60 minutes volatility, then it's kind of choppy the rest of the day, and then you might get a little something at the end of the day.
Closing.
Yeah, it's an old rich white guy sport. It's like they just want to be done in the morning so they can go play golf the rest of the day, right? So you just got to know the game.
And it is kind of nice because it is, you're not constantly, like with crypto, it doesn't sleep. There's no opening and closing of the markets or anything.
Which sucks.
It does suck because you wake up and you're fucked.
Same with Forex, right?
Or you wake up and you're happy, but it's like you can't. People are trading all over the world constantly.
You're always working.
You're always working, and that's one thing that's
yeah.
really, I think nice about the stock market is it is like
there's an open and a close,
and Monday through Friday. There's no Saturday, Sunday.
There's not even holidays.
Not
bro.
even holidays.
Yeah, not even holidays. No. So you can have like a normal
life.
life.
The benefits to the trading options as a full-time thing, career, as opposed to other careers, is like what Eddie was saying. You can travel anywhere in the world with the Wi-Fi connection
and work like 2 hours a day.
And you work like 2 hours a day.
Like,
I really, and maybe I'm biased, but I really don't think that there's like a better gig out there for people. I'm going to convert all of you into trading options. You guys are all going to be in the Jake the Stock Guy Slack. Where's Jake?
Our 4 media day is going to start at 11.
And that's what I'm saying. We're going to move our hours. Yeah. We're like optional second shift, whoever wants to take it, from 11 to 8 p.m.
I love it.
It's so funny.
That's sick.
So like, what if someone wants to get in and they don't have a lot of money? Is this still something that they can do?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, you don't need that's the great thing about options, right? Is that they're already a leveraged derivative instrument. So,
what?
Yeah. So it's a complicated way of saying you can start with like $1,000, a $1,500, $2,000 account, and you can make with
10,000.
Yeah, in a week. And if you're just starting out, I wouldn't aim that high. Like, you're not going to be like me.
Don't blow yourself up.
But with a $2,000 account, you make about $500 a day.
That's crazy. Yeah. What about a $500 account? Is that too small?
It's a bit small.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's
I would say between to get started and you're just small guy, 1,000 to 2,000 is like that sweet spot. Nice. Ideally 1,500 to 2,000, because then you can play with 500 as a position size and aim for that 50% to 100% return on your 500.
Now you're doubled.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when it's like, and then when you get to 10,000, you can go in 1,000. And when you get to 25,000, you can go in 2,000. So, but yeah, does that make sense? Yeah.
Totally.
So it's $1,500, $2,000. And if you're new, you don't want to start with a lot anyway, even if you have it. You want to get the hang of it down. So take a $500 position and, look for that $250 to $500 return. And it all happens pretty fast.
And if you're really scared, you could even just play with like those paper money accounts where you're like, not even trading real money, but you're playing with, pretend money, but actually, putting in positions and all that kind of stuff.
I have, me and my friend in college, we set up $1 million, Eric, we set up like $1 million trading account, like just a fake one. And we each invested $1 million into it. Bro, that shit is like $15 million right now. I wish I had $1 million to actually play that game.
Yeah.
I bought Netflix when it was like fucking $15.
Were you just like value investing basically? Just like trying to bet on things that
Yeah,
you
but I
thought
mean, I
would
was
be
just
big?
logical. I looked at Netflix at the time. I remember I actually was sitting in Gabe's basement on his couch, and we all had Netflix accounts. And I was like, bro, like, do you understand like where this platform goes? I was like, bro, it's $15 a share. There's no way this doesn't break like $200 a share. XYZ. I'm like, look at this. They're opening up in China. Like, it was like all these things. And I was
$15
like,
a share, that's like how much it costs per month. It's like take your Netflix that you're spending and just fucking buy the stock.
You know, a good philosophy for those who don't even trade options and they just buy stocks, buy shares in the companies that you know
you believe in.
you believe in.
And the stuff that you use every day. It's like if you're using it every day, and there's definitely tons of other people that are using it every single day.
Starbucks. Everybody should own some Starbucks. Should
Apple.
Own some Apple.
They're launching ads now. Now's a good time to buy Apple.
Lululemon.
Amazon and Apple right now are two really good brands to buy, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I
think you're a little late on Amazon, but Apple will always be the king.
Why are you late on Amazon?
I don't know. It just feels like late. It feels like Amazon can't go much further from here.
I disagree.
Yeah, you think?
Big time.
Yeah.
AWS alone, their servers, just
Yeah.
the server side, not even the retail side of Amazon,
Yeah.
is probably the most used server in the entire world. Everything you look at, like your apps, everything that you're looking at, majority of them are all on AWS, which is way more money and profit than the actual retail side.
Yeah. I would probably buy Microsoft before I would buy Amazon. I think there's more runway. More of a run. No, that's not. I don't know. I mean, even Microsoft is up a lot.
Yeah, but Microsoft is losing to Amazon.
Yeah.
Microsoft's server side is called Azure.
Yeah. That's right.
And Amazon's AWS.
What's crazy is Microsoft and Amazon are both started right in Seattle, Washington. Like I lived there, and it's like two of the richest guys in in the world, just right there. Starbucks. It's just like, what is going on here, you know?
Yeah.
And when I was there, I was thinking to myself, this is rainy, it's cold. What are you guys doing here?
That's why. They have nothing else to do but work.
They're just coding.
Like, fuck it, I'm not going out. You open the window, you're like, nah, I'm working today. I'm not going anywhere.
It was cool. Anyway, this is another day, another story, but I went and I looked at the original trailer at the Microsoft campus that
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates would work out of, and there was a little pond, and they called it Gates Pond, and it was a little trailer, and they left it there. It's been there.
Wow.
That's sick.
And now it's like it's bigger than a university, their campus.
Yeah.
For
sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your group for a second.
Sure.
Let's say I got in the group. Let's just say I signed up today.
Yeah.
Like, what are my next steps here? Like, how am I going to make money with this group?
Well, you're going to need to have a brokerage account. There's like the top four would be Robinhood, E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, or Webull.
Webull's good.
Yeah, Webull.
You use E-Trade?
I use E-Trade because that's what Stefan used, and that's what I just was trying to mimic him.
Got used to it.
And then you get used to something.
There's not much difference,
It becomes an
though, right?
extension of yourself. No, not much. I mean, it's,
maybe Robinhood's the weakest out of the four.
Yeah, Robinhood's for like really, 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 really beginners.
Yeah.
And then once you become more, educated, sophisticated, you're going to go on to.
You use Thinkorswim, right? Which is Webull.
It's
TD Ameritrade.
Oh, it's TD Ameritrade.
TD Ameritrade and E-Trade, I think, are the two top dogs as far as professional day traders, professional retail traders. There's interactive brokers, but that's for like algorithmic hedge funds that they want to do the automated thing. And there's other small boutique brokers, but
cool.
those
So
are
I
the
get
big
my
ones.
account.
Webull's great. A lot of people in our group use Webull.
And you can get the whole Bloomberg terminal if you're just deep in it.
Yeah, and so you'll get
That's just wild.
You'll get a welcome orientation video. You get kind of settled into our community. You get to understand how it works, all the different channels, what to look for, and then you're just prompted to make sure you have your notifications and alerts set on, and you just wait in the morning for me to greet everybody. It's the same shtick. You know what I mean? It's a Yiddish word, shtick. It's just me. I just say good morning. This is my watch list, and I'll put the date, and then I'll talk about the resistance, support levels.
Market opens at 9:30. So like, what time am I getting this message?
8.
8?
Yeah.
Oh, that early.
Yeah, 8:30.
Okay, so I got a good hour plus to like prep.
Yeah.
Based on what you're telling me to watch.
Yeah, I give people kind of the plan before the market opens, so you have a plan. There's an old saying in the market is plan your trade, trade your plan. So, and then for those who really want to be held their hands, they can sit and wait for to see my actual brokerage orders come in, my buy and sells. But it's
those are alerts literally telling them exactly what you did.
Yeah.
You're just showing them exactly your hand.
Yeah, it is.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's great. And then how
many people do you think in the group, like what percentage are literally just following your trades versus like, you know, trying to understand the watch list and all that stuff ahead of time?
It's hard to quantify, but like, for example, we have like, you know, 1,200, 1,300 people, and maybe 30 to 50 actually engage and like will comment or leave an emoji. So all these guys,
The rest are
they're
watchers.
just watching, you know, like they're just watching.
For all you know, they could be making millions of dollars off
Yeah,
this
I have
place.
no idea. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Like I met like I was in Glendale, LA a couple of weeks ago, and one of the members of the group flew me out and put me up, paid for my plane ticket, hotel, wanted to meet me, you know, thank me. I'm like, oh, geez, I wonder how much you made following me. You know?
That has to be a good chunk if he's flying you out.
And,
that's cool.
Yeah, I only saw him for like a second. He had to go to he got these backstage tickets to Tomorrowland, that European festival. He's like super hard to get into.
I've been many times. I love it. It's the best festival in the world.
This is the first one you've missed, right?
Yeah, this year was the first time I've missed in a long time.
And
but I'm sure he had the exclusive shit. He's
like, hey Jake, I was gonna we were gonna hang out. I was gonna show you my restaurant. We're gonna go out on my boat, but I gotta go. You know, he's like, I got these tickets last minute. He's like, I'm printing my boarding pass out.
Wow.
And
so he flew you out, and he was like, sorry, gotta go. But
yeah. And then I ended up meeting I met this huge group of Armenians, amazing people. I mean, amazing good people. They're really good with money. They got a lot of it. But I was at a family barbecue, and it was like one of the members was like, Jake, this is my cousin, and this is my brother-in-law, and this is and I do a bad Armenian accent, but, you know, and we're having fun barbecue, and like 12 guys are there, and I'm like, they're all members of Jake the Stock Guy. I never knew I never knew they existed. I didn't know their name, and they never engaged with me. So, and they're like, yeah, I follow you every morning, and that trade yesterday, and they'll start talking to me about what, you know, what happened yesterday, and I'll be like, wow, you guys are really following along, huh? But I would never know they existed, you know?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's kind of like YouTube, you know? It's like you look at the view number and it feels like cold. You're like, the number just is a number. But then the comments are always of just like weird shit, you know? Like the normal people watching the video aren't leaving comments. They're not really, you know, they're watching and enjoying.
No.
But the comments are always full of fucking weirdos.
Trolls.
And
Internet
trolls
people.
and
Internet people.
Yeah.
People who live on the internet. Trolls.
Yeah. And I always try to balance that out by leaving a nice comment, because I always feel like as a YouTube person,
It goes
like
a
I
long way.
appreciate comments. So it's like I always try to leave a comment when I feel a good emotion about a video and stuff. But it's kind of true, you know. It's like I'm sure there's, you know, hundreds of people in your Slack channel that they're just focused on doing their trades and living their life. They're not worried about engaging with the community or whatever.
Yeah.
They
They don't want to show anyone how much they're making.
It's just
that too.
Yeah. I mean, you know, really, guys, if you're wanting to day trade options, if you're trying to get into this game and, you know, you want to see what's going on in our community, I would say stop looking at others. You know, if you go on the internet, you'll see people doing 50,000 in a day and, you know, profits, and you're going to rob yourself of your own happiness. You know, be happy, man, because it's all perspective. And as Einstein said, it's all relative, you know. So I can remember when I make $1,700 a day. I can remember when I couldn't make that in a week working 40 hours. So it's all perspective. It's all relative. So for me, I'm so happy. And that's 3 minutes. You know. And so, you know, stop looking at others. Just focus on yourself. Focus on your journey and be happy. Be grateful. You know, if where you're at is making $500 a day, bro, that's sick money, bro. There's not and especially in the time frame that we're talking about. When I say in a day, I'm talking about in
an hour.
5, 10, 15, 20, less than an hour, you know? And like, I don't know, man. I don't know go out on the street, talk to 10 people, ask them if they make $500 a day and see what they say. I don't know, but maybe not all 10 people, probably only like 2.
Maybe 1.
Yeah. The people, if you go on the internet and you see people who are making all this money, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, these people who are, you know, these big day traders that you see on the internet doing, $50,000, $100,000 a day. They
I see Steven Duck's pulling in like 400 grand a day.
Yeah, Steven Ducks is a great example. It's super skewered. It's skewered because you only see that and you think, that's
every day.
That's everybody.
Or they have $300 red days, $300,000 red days.
Yeah, they don't ever make those videos.
Steven does.
Oh, he does?
He does.
Okay.
He shows all his trades, every single, all the losses, 500,000 loss.
Yeah, I haven't heard about that guy. He followed Timothy Sykes. He first got his start there with the penny stocks, and then
I only know because Gabe, the one you met first when we walked in, he was super huge into Steven Ducks like 5 years ago, and I remember the kid was making like $1 million a year or $2 million a year, which is still crazy. He didn't even speak English, and now 5 years later, Gabe sends me. He's like, bro, he's still doing it, and he'll send me a trade, $700K profit today.
Wow.
I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. If you stick with it, it gets better, it gets bigger,
You just play bigger because you're more confident in your numbers. The numbers
right.
check
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's all percentages, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it comes to you when it's your time, So don't rush it. You can't rush a tree to grow. You can't rush things.
So should I join your group if I have no trading experience? Should I take your course first? What's the order?
If you have no experience at all, you're probably going to need to take the course. And then that's going to catch you up to speed. And, it takes...
How fast? 2-3 weeks? A month?
Yeah, 2-3 weeks. It's like a 21 day, 10-day program. I haven't taken it in a while, so I don't remember. But
it's everything I need to know to get started.
Yeah. If you could probably do it all in if you were super, super gung-ho and you had the time, you could probably do it in less than a month for sure. All the material you need.
And so from there, I can basically start looking at your trades and being able to
follow along. Yeah.
And execute the same trades that you're executing.
Yeah. And the paper trade thing's great, but it doesn't teach you real money psychology. So I like to tell people, hey, if you're getting started, start with a small account and just play small with real cash, and then you'll really feel it. You'll really understand what you need to overcome when trading.
Because everyone thinks that they'll do something, but until their balls are on the fucking table and there's money on the line, there's always a different feeling in the moment or after the moment.
My balls got cut from Jumia. I had a $900,000 loss in a position. Yikes.
With NVIDIA?
No, Jumia, Jmia.
Oh, Jim. Oh, man,
Jumia.
yeah. Oh, was I gonna? There's a great quote by Mike Tyson. He says, "Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I got a plan," and then, that's a big dent. I don't see.
Yeah, it's not a dent; it's a totaled car.
That was shares. That was shares.
Yeah. It's a career dent. That's a life dent, bro. That's not a.
That stock is
It's a wrecking ball.
It's a penny stock or a mid cap, small cap stock. I don't touch those stocks.
It's at now it's at like $10, but it was at 67. My position was 42 average.
$42,000.
$42.
$42.
Each share was 42, went up to 67.
Here's the thing. I got really excited, so I bought in. I bought a pretty big position. I was very confident in everything where it was at. It was $12 a share or something. It jumped to 30 in a week. And I exited and I made 250 grand in a week. It was the most money I've ever made in a week, honestly. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, my mind was fucking exploding. I was like, this is fucking sick. And then it dipped and I was like, fuck it, let me buy in again. And then I made money again. And then I just I was like, fuck it, it's going to keep, I'm doing the math here, looking at how much money they're making, the opportunities here. I was like, okay, this can go up to $300 a share. I'm going to keep buying. So I bought it at 42, went to 67. I said, you know what? I'm not going to check stocks anymore. It's just taking up bandwidth of my mental bandwidth to think about it every day. Even if I'm not trading every day, just looking at it.
Yeah.
So I didn't look. Big mistake. Next time I check the app, this thing's at $28. I'm like, fuck. Do I sell? No, I'm not selling. I'm already at a loss. Let me just hold it. Boom, 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 boom. Went all the way down to $5. Ouch. And I was on margin. So yeah. So I lost a lot of it. So it was a life lesson for sure.
Yeah.
Haven't traded much stocks the last year, to say the least.
Yeah, no, everybody has their horror stories in the stock market. In fact, if you haven't blown up an account at least once, can you even really call yourself a trader? I've lost my whole account probably 3-4 times, in the first 3 years.
And how do you avoid doing that now?
So frustrating. Oh, just, being disciplined, sticking to what I know works and following the script, At this point, I'm in the game, so many times I've made the mistake. It's just like I don't make them anymore.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned before, kind of just managing the risk and making sure you're not putting yourself in a position where you can blow yourself up.
If you're excited or nervous in a trade, you're probably in too big of a position. You kind of need to be in such a size position to where it's almost boring. That's how you just keep your mental composure
it's gotta be so boring you can do it while driving from state to state. That's how boring it has to be. So what are like the biggest mistakes people make in the market? What do you see?
It's kind of the same thing. They treat it like a casino, all in, they want to get rich quick, never works. Shortcuts never work. They always come back to spank you in the ass or punish you. Just stop thinking shortcut mentality, play the long game. People just want to come into this. They want to get rich overnight, and they go all in, they lose it. Then like, it's your fault. It's your fault, Jake. It's your fault that, I'm just kidding. But it's like, they say, oh, it's a scam. The stock market's a scam. It doesn't work. It doesn't work,
Yeah. For every winner in the stock market, there's a loser pretty much, right?
Yeah. And then another common mistake is like just getting control of your emotions. It takes a lot of discipline. People who are more, what's the word? People who have addictive personalities, it's a little more harder for them, but anybody can manage and master your emotions. But yeah, like just getting your emotional regulating your emotions, so that's the big one, right? So people bust out because they treat it like a casino. People don't know how to regulate their emotions, and they're very inconsistent in their actions. So one day they buy $1,000, they make $500. Next day they buy $2,000, lose $1,000. They're just not getting anywhere. They're negative 500. So and then it's frustrating. And then you can be on a great winning streak, and people always do this. I think there's a term in psychology called self-sabotage. It's called the self-sabotage syndrome. A lot of people suffer from this. It could stem from childhood trauma. It could stem from limited lack belief system, or they don't feel like they deserve it or they're worthy of being successful. So I've seen people have a great win streak, 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks of just green, a whole month green, and then one day they just go way too big out of nowhere for no reason and just wipe out all that progress.
I did that sports betting one year. The Cleveland Browns. I'll never forget these fuckers. Oh, God.
It's funny as I talk. It's like Eddie's like, yeah.
No childhood problems. That was just me. But yeah, they literally were like 0 for 11. Like they lost every single game, and I bet every game against them, and I made money. And every time I made my bet bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. 12th game comes around. They're playing the number 1 team. It's fucking impossible that they lose. Fucking impossible. I don't bet on the spread. I'm just betting on the money line. I'm just betting that they fucking win. Even if it's like 10% gain, I'm like, okay, I'll just play it big.
Yeah.
And I'll guarantee. Like, I'm like, it's fucking guarantee. It's the number 1 team playing the absolute worst team that's never won in their own home territory.
Who was the number 1 team at the time?
It was the fucking Chargers, and they had like the most stacked team, and there was no way that they were possibly gonna lose. I was like, dude, like even if it's a 10% bet, like I'm going to make 10%, like it's guaranteed. Like, fuck it, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So I put like fucking 10 grand on this bet because that was what I've made from the Cleveland Browns in that year. I made 10 grand in profit over the season. And I was like, cool, I'm just going to like fucking put it in, make it. It wasn't like $1,000 out. It was like probably like $2,000 out was going to be my win. I was like, fuck it, $2,000 for a Sunday. Good for me. I'm not even going to watch the game. Like, I know they won. I'll watch another game. They fucking lost by 10 points, bro. How is that possible? Can you tell me how the number 1 team loses by 10 points
by 10 points.
in their
To the
home
worst team.
in their home stadium, bro? I was like,
Wow.
That's just like astronomical odds against you. I would
Bro.
just call that bad luck.
bro, that's what I'm. So I
It
learned
could
my
also
lesson.
be like that they just went into that game with no
No,
mentality.
for sure. That's what it is. They underestimated. It's still a professional football team. And all it takes is slipping up and a momentum change and the game changes. But like
Totally.
the probability, bro.
The probabilities were very,
like
very
this team was
Way-
getting fucking wrecked by the worst teams by 30 points.
11-0, and then they're playing the best team. It's like, come on,
It's like there's no way this is happening, and it fucking did. Ever since I have
Maybe,
I have not laid a single sports bet on a losing team like that with that kind of level of confidence. I'm like, anything happens.
I used to wonder, like, I wonder if teams lose or if, like, in boxing, like the guys got, hey, we're gonna pay you all this money if you
In boxing, for sure, it
if you go
happens.
down.
It's just in a team sport, it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
Because you like how many guys do you have to pay in football? There's fucking 24 guys starting.
24 guys,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 11 on offense, 11 on defense, 22 people. Plus they switch out positions. There's like 30 people you have to pay off. Plus the coach. Plus it's like impossible. In boxing,
There's one guy.
listen, Jake, we're gonna give you fucking $1 million if you just take it to the face in the 6th round.
Yep.
Deal. You know, that's all.
And
it takes.
no.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more common in like combat sports, especially because it doesn't. It's like more realistic. Like one good punch can actually change a fight. So like if you just drop your hands for a second and the guy actually hits you hard enough, like you lose and you made it happen. I think in team sports, like everyone's always like, oh, basketball's rigged, football's rigged. I'm not saying it's not rigged. I'm just saying they definitely push the storyline a little bit more, and the refs make tighter calls or less tighter calls, but I don't see a scenario where a player actually throws the game.
Do you know the most watched sport in the world is
Soccer?
rugby?
No way.
Yeah.
Rugby?
There's a billion people.
A billion people watching rugby?
More than
in,
soccer.
in India.
Oh.
And then the second most watched sport is
Cricket?
sorry, I meant to say cricket is the number one. And
That
then the
makes more
second is like race cars.
It has to be
like,
soccer. It has to be soccer.
It's like race cars.
Formula One.
Formula One is like the second, and then soccer is the third.
That's fucking
Really?
crazy. I thought soccer was number one.
Yeah.
Soccer was definitely number one.
There's no way. I'm challenging this position.
I don't know. Look it up. Maybe it's changed, but it's like it's not what you think. It's like football, basketball, all that. Baseball is like nothing.
No, I
compared
know
to what-
those are nothing because they're American.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But like soccer.
It's like Formula One and cricket and soccer
It's actually insane how much money is
because there's a
Formula
billion people. There's a billion people in India.
Did you watch a documentary yet?
One. I'm in it. Yeah.
How fucking insane is the
insane.
production of
Yeah.
this fucking
And I've just been watching the races.
bro?
Of what?
Oh, live
Formula One.
like actual races.
Yeah, me and my roommate got into it because I
Same.
hooked him on the documentary.
Bro, once you watch the
And so
documentary, it's
What is the
over.
documentary?
on Netflix, Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
It's like the F1. It's like a documentary series, and they
wow.
document the seasons.
But it's bro, Jake,
it's insane.
they have like 10,000 cameras at least, bro. I don't even know how to
Really?
explain it. Like everything has a camera. Everyone has a mic at all times.
What?
Like, and they're building a
Drive to
racetrack.
Survive. I'm gonna watch it.
They're building a racetrack in different countries every week. Like 1 week you're in fucking
And there's so much strategy that
Saudi?
you don't realize. There's so much shit going on behind the
So
scenes that you
much.
don't realize. You're like, oh, it's racing. It's just the driver. But there's so many like.
there's like 100 guys for the driver. Like that's how deep it goes.
Whoa.
Like
It-
engineers.
Who won
like,
it wasn't the big Formula One race recently? What was that one? They just had it. It was the most recent one, less than a month ago.
well, there's
Max
one.
Verstappen won that
Yeah.
one. He's like the big guy right now. He's like the young hotshot.
Yeah.
But it's also weird because each
Who's he
team
drive
has
for?
two. Max Verstappen's on
Red Bull.
Red Bull, but there it's also interesting because like each team has two drivers. So like your pit crew. I didn't realize this. I thought there was like one pit crew for every driver, but there's actually a pit crew for two drivers. So like
Oh.
the same pit crew is changing two people's tires. So you can't pit at the same time as your teammate. Like there's so many like different crazy parts of the strategy that are insane.
And even
Different
like you have to let
tires.
your teammate go. If his lap time is like faster than yours by a second, that means in 30 laps he can win the race. You have to let him by you. And then you have to block everyone from getting closer to your teammate.
Shake and bake.
It's
like
like
Talladega Nights.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's interesting.
It's insane.
I see why it's the most watched sport.
Yeah.
Like I could see that. We should totally go to Vegas, by the way, and watch the one in Vegas. They're
would be
doing one
sick.
in Vegas for the first time in 40 years.
Whoa.
And the entire because the last time they did it, the cars were like older cars, like slower. They weren't
yeah.
like 250 miles an hour. Whereas now the entire strip is shut down, and that's the straightaway. So it's like a 2-mile straightaway at 300 miles an hour.
What?
Like right in front of like Bellagio fountain and everything. It's fucking
They're
insane.
shutting down the strip.
The entire strip, bro, is the
That's
straightaway.
nuts. And it's wild to see the different tracks. Like you got the one that was like a couple weeks ago where it's basically just in an open field, like an open track. And then you got the one in Monaco where they're racing in like literally tiny ass little streets.
Yeah.
Like
They hate
insane.
Monaco.
Yeah.
Because
I
like
can imagine.
you can't like overtake someone. There's no space.
But there's
because it was
that's where all
built for those tiny ass cars that they used to have.
Yeah. But that's where all the rich people are and with their
the
yachts and shit.
sickest
So they
race.
got to race there.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Bugattis everywhere.
Dude, the Monaco track is around a yacht.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like everyone's on the yachts watching it, and like it's through the streets. So like people are in their apartments, the whole building, every balcony has like 20 people watching. So like the entire building is just people, and they're all watching these cars take the same roads they take at 20 miles an hour at 300. You know what I mean? It's like fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Insane.
So
Yeah.
in the stock world, here's kind of how we like to end these podcasts. Let's go back to stocks or just life in general, because you've kind of explored a lot of things. You ask you in this case to basically, if you had to give a fortune cookie with some piece of advice in it, it doesn't need to fit on the fortune cookie. Like we've had some very long ones, and you had to give it back to like, you know, let's say someone 10 years younger than you are right now. What kind of piece of advice would you give? I know you kind of threw one in the middle of this, which is probably a good one, but I'll let you kind of pick out of your pocket.
I would say seek the higher ideal. You know, seek truth, seek beauty. It's a little bit higher level stuff, but try not to get too stuck in this like 3-dimensional space of like materialism and, you know, and your immediate surroundings and your immediate thoughts that you're thinking about every day. Like, you know, continue to seek truth, seek beauty, seek the higher ideal, and whatever vehicle you need to get there. And it may take different shapes and different forms over time. Don't give up easily. You know, that's a big one. Give something enough time to work. Don't give up. Simple.
So what do you mean by like a higher ideal here?
You know, it's so different for everybody, but it's, you know, seek the higher ideal. So it you know, there's a joke about why does a Jewish rabbi only talk in questions?
I don't know.
It's like the joke's kind of like that. It's like wise people never really answer something. They really pose
A deeper thought.
They pose the answer in the form of a question because I want you to think. I'm not just going to give you the answer. It's like I pose a question that causes the person who's seeking the advice or seeking the answer to think for themselves. You know, there's a lot of references in this in the Bible and every type of spiritual text you can find. So seek what the higher ideal for your life is, and really don't focus on people around you, because you're going to look at someone and say, oh, that's my idea of success, or that's my ideal self, that's my ideal lifestyle. And it's really not. It's going to get you into a lot of trouble. It's going to waste a lot of your time. And I can say this to you, and I almost feel like people are going to just do it anyway. So I almost wonder, like, why even offer the advice? You're still going to make the mistakes. But really seek the higher ideal. Seek truth, seek beauty, whatever it is for you. Really focus on yourself, and have some principles to live by. Don't give up easily, but stick with something long enough to see it through. And my biggest one that I love, if you could take anything away from me, is you can have anything, you can be anyone, you can go anywhere you want in life. You just need the right vehicle. And for me, that's options.
I can already picture Jake's group now. No longer does he give you his trades. He asks you, hey, Jake, what are you trading today? What do you think I'm going to trade today?
I'm going to start just telling people, hey, you tell me what we're trading today. You've been in here long enough. Let's see it.
Ask not what the stock market can do for you. Ask what you can do for the stock market.
Yeah. But it's a great little life. It's a great little, place I've found myself in. Guys, if you're interested in it,
How do people find you? Where do they follow you? Where do they look into your?
I'm everywhere.
group?
I'm on just Jake the Stock Guy, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Go to the website, jakethestockguy.com. We have a 14-day free trial. You can, sign up and just try it out for 2 weeks, and we won't even bill you.
You get access to the whole group. All your
just
trades,
come
everything.
see what the community's about. Just check us out and follow along if you're new, if you've been around. A lot of people have been in other alert services and have lost money because a lot of these guys are jokesters and like fakes, and they end up in my group. I won't name any names. Actually, I'm gonna name some names. People write me all the time. They're like, "Oh, I was a member of Raging Bull, lost a lot of money following that guy." Those guys, I was a member of this group, that group, lost money, still trying to find the right group for me. And then they end up with me and they end up staying. But
I mean, your mentality is a little bit different. It's not like Lambos flexing watches. Like,
nope.
It's very like,
and I might have all those things, but I'm not chasing them. And if they don't come to me, that's okay. I'm still good.
I love it. Well, you guys heard it here. Thank you, Jake, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
A lot of
brother.
value. It taught me a lot about options trading, and hopefully someone listening to this can definitely get a lot of value out of it. And who knows, maybe in a few years it's their full-time career and they're just fucking printing money in 3 minutes while driving across states. So it sounds pretty cool.
The stock market is a black hole of infinite cash. There's $150 trillion of liquidity in the New York Stock Exchange. All the money in the world goes to that stock exchange. So something else that a lot of people don't know, but when I say that to you, you're like, damn, man.
Trillion.
150 trillion. All the money.
Here we are like, this crypto coin has like 50 million of liquidity. This could be huge. 150 fucking trillion, bro, not billion. Trillion. Insane.
And once you realize the money's out there,
Yeah, I mean, there's so much liquidity. Like, I could take $1 billion out of the stock market today and nobody would know it was gone. Today, I could take $1 billion out. Nobody would know it was gone. $1 billion.
That's crazy.
And nobody would bat an eye. We wouldn't even know it was gone. It wouldn't affect any individual stock. So
that's fucking crazy.
That's how much liquidity there is in the stock market.
Thank you for your time, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Awesome having you on the show, and hopefully we'll do this again sometime.
All right. Out.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the 4Media Uncut podcast. If you want to work with us, learn with us, or even join the team and be a part of what we're doing at 4Media Marketing, just go to our website. It's 4media.marketing. No .com, no .net, .marketing, because that's all we do around here. And most importantly, share this with a friend wherever you're listening to or watching this on. Please hit that share button, send it over to a friend, someone else that you think will get value out of this. It would mean the world to us.
And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like this video and comment down below any suggestions for future guests. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please rate this 5 stars and leave us a review there. That helps us tremendously in the algorithm world. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of 4Media Uncut Podcast.